Okay friends, it's Kate from Venison for Dinner here, and I got a stack of school books that I had to dig out of the cupboard because we're actually done school for the year. It's May. It's still May, yes. Monday is June. Although you're probably not seeing this for another couple weeks because that's how things happen around here sometimes. Anyhow, I'm gonna go through the school books we used at the end of the year. There's a few other reviews in my reviews thing. I'll link that you can check out those. Tell you if I liked them or not. Spoiler alert, one of these books got ditched pretty quickly. Maybe two of them. But we're gonna show you, okay? So we'll start with our piano books, which we have a piano teacher that comes to our house. Hamish is missing the cover on his book apparently. His book is The ABC of Piano Playing by Boris Berlin. So he's still on book 1. And these were all picked by our piano teacher. He took care of this and just kind of approved everything with me. I liked what he was doing. They also did additional theory, learning to write music, that sort of thing. Mac did book 1 of Edna Mae Burnham's piano course, and then he went on to book 2. So he's at this level type playing. He's doing really well. He's really starting to catch on to it. Here's another example of sort of what level he's at. And I'm really thankful for our piano teacher and the fellowship we have with him on a weekly basis. I look forward to having in-person ones again. We currently do Zoom. So we're gonna start off with a book that we had great intentions for. Do you have those sort of homeschool books that you're like, this is amazing, this is exactly what we want, I love this, I can't wait to do this? You do it for like 3 days and you're like, this is not us. This is this. So we have a few of these because I was very excited. We have used almost none of them. What they are is there's different, so the company is Colorful Travels and it's all Canadian. So it is really neat that I think my kids are just at the wrong age. So what it is it'll be something, there'll be a topic, like this is camping in the Canadian Rockies. So there is, talks about different things about Banff and Jasper and Kootenays, and because this is all about the Canadian Rockies. You can write a little story and then there's a coloring page. There's Prince of Wales Hotel in Waterton Lakes Park. You know, it's really neat. Freya was coloring in this. I almost think I would need to photocopy or buy multiple, or just photocopy. So that each kid had one and I would read it, maybe I'd color along. I think my kids are just not quite at the right age. So I'm not gonna get rid of it, we're just gonna tuck it aside. A book, I did a review on this, I'll link that. This was a major breakthrough for Hamish. He did book 1, 2, and 3 of this ABC, See, Hear, Do, in which you learn how to read by using different animals and actions. So this is CR, says cr, pinch your fingers together like a crab. Cr, cr, cr. So then it puts together with other letters that he's learned, like ant says ah, bear says b, 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 crab. So it made reading click for Hamish. Pretty inexpensive book, really excited about it. Really caught on for Hamish, who's 7, and Mac, who's 10, did most of it with him because he was so excited that Hamish was learning to read that he would go through it with Hamish. Our true love for the kids' writing is Learning Without Tears. So there's handwriting without tears. We don't do handwriting, we do printing without tears. So this is the one that Hamish was on before we wrapped up. He kind of had just started doing the next level before we stopped for the year, so he'll pick this up in the fall, but This is kind of the level he was at. He's just hit the point where he can write, and he can write words that, even though the spelling's not right, you can sound out what he wrote and you can understand what he wrote. And at the beginning of the year, he couldn't write a word. He could write like his name and mom and that sort of thing. And like his letters were like, woo, wonky doodle. Huge, huge strides for Hamish this year in learning to write and learning to read. And that's really exciting. And he's in grade 2. He's going into grade 3. So going into grade 2, he couldn't read or write. And going into grade 3, he's only just reading and writing. And this is okay. He is making progress in his own time, but he's excited about it. If we were to push reading and writing down his throat, it just wouldn't get us anywhere. We probably, like at the beginning of school year for him, starting in kindergarten, we start doing with reading and writing things. This wasn't clicking, we put it down. Later in the year, in his kindergarten year, we try a bit more. Wasn't clicking, put it down. Grade 1, reading, nope, not clicking. Writing, starting to figure it out a bit. So he kept doing that. And grade 2, that's when it just clicked. So I look forward to seeing what he does next year. Mac does their Building Writers program, and he's done a lot. I say program, it's just a book. He does a lot of these. This is a fairly higher level book. They start easier, but they prompt you. So this one is fill in the blanks with new words to create a new rhyme and draw a picture. So it's 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. So 5 little bumpies jumping on the cliff. Oh, one fell off and cracked its head. That's lovely. Hadn't read that. And I'm not sure if I should be concerned about those pictures. We'll just put that away for now. So this is level C. He started at level A and he did level B. And if you have a writer who, when you ask them to write, tell me what, write a journal entry. They're like, I have nothing to write. Or they write one sentence, or they're always writing the bare minimum. Actually, I did a review on this book too. I'll link that. I highly encourage these Building Writers books because it really encourages them to flesh out what they're writing and walks them through fleshing out and different types of sentences and questions and all that sort of thing. Mac was doing this Kumon multiplication book. Hamish was doing a Kumon subtraction book. It was a little easy for him, and then when my sister was thrust into homeschooling, we gave her a pile of books. So actually there was some school books that Hamish was doing, but they were kind of easy for him, and there was still lots of blank pages left of them. We gave them to my sister for her kindergartner. So we like Kumon books because they just take you through basic stuff. And my kids do so much math in real life in terms of when they're baking and when they're counting something out and when they're measuring and when they're all those sort of things, but they still need to be able to do math on paper. My goals with math for them is all the math that you want to know how to be able to do just like quickly in your head. I want them to have that down pat. Next year, we're thinking of trying teaching textbooks. I just signed up for a free trial that I need to get Mac trying to see if we're gonna buy that for next year. Him and I butt heads on math, and I feel like outsourcing that a bit would be really good for us. Another fail, money math. I was really excited about this. I think that it was really fun when my sister-in-law was staying with us, and we had 2 10-year-olds, 2 7-year-olds. And there was more of a group for discussion. When it was just my 2 kids, didn't quite get as well. So what it is it's not a math book in terms of like 1 + 1 is 2, but teaching you about money and the history of money, and this one has a Canadian base. So it goes through the barter system and what the barter system used to be. And then we can write out, like, so this activity here was you have to write down what you need and what you could barter for it, what do you have to barter for it, and you know, what sort of traits and different values, and you know, if you were trading someone potatoes for butter, how much potatoes for how much butter? If you were trading someone chickens for a knife, how much would you trade? Those sort of things. And my kids were very stubborn on it. They were like, we wouldn't trade guns. No, we'll just keep them. Like, butter? No, it's a lot of work to make butter. We're not trading our butter. So they were pretty cute with that. I think we're gonna pick it up again next year. We just kind of lost steam on it. But now that I'm looking through it, I'm like, oh, maybe I really would like to do this again. We were doing a grocery budget in this. So we were using that book and we were making an imaginary grocery list and writing out what we need and what it costs and such. And I'm like, okay, well, like, what about meat? And Mac's like, oh, ick, no, don't buy meat at the store. And I'm like, okay, well, what do we need for groceries? And Hamish is like, we're pretty good. We got lots of food. And I'm like, okay, but pretend we don't and we're needing to buy things and we have $100. What are we gonna buy? And Hamish is like, what about steak? Can you buy steak at the grocery store? And that's one of my favorite things that they said all year, is that they didn't know you could buy meat at the grocery store. And even Mac was showing a friend a recipe for mushroom salt, which again, I'll link that one below too. And he was reading out the recipe, our friend was, and he's like, good salt? And Mac's like, well, yeah, you gotta use good salt. And Mac had literally written out good salt in the mushroom salt recipe, because that's how I write it, and that's then how he translates it too. So the main bulk of our curriculum this year was gather round. What I ended up doing was getting an HP printer with instant ink subscription, which I'm not super convinced on. It was hit and miss for me, but it was a lot cheaper. And then I got these basic 3-inch binders, and what we would do is I would just put the cover page in here. The ink was starting to go on this, but since it was the teacher guide, I decided to just print anyways until it really ran out. So the color on this is a little distorted. It's supposed to be like that. Gather round, I have a video linked below about a review when we were doing space, and this was Europe. I thought, because my kids are super nerdy science outdoors kids, they would most enjoy all of the science focus. So Gather Round is a curriculum that there's right now they're still developing it, so every month a new unit comes out. And it bounces back and forth between a science focus and a social studies focus. So it bounces back and forth between like North American birds and then Asia, space, Europe. It bounces back and forth between a country and a science focus. I thought they'd be all over the science ones. Turns out our favorite are the country ones. And we bought the whole year at a discount at the beginning of the school year, and we only used 4 units. We did North American birds, space, Asia, and Europe. Is that right? I think that's it. We debated doing another one, but honestly, once it's nice out, mosquito. We're done with schoolwork. We're ready to be outside. So we finished Europe and wrapped it up, and we'll take it up again in October. We finished the end of April. So Gather Round is 6 levels, and you place your child in a level, didn't get that mosquito, based on their abilities. So it's like pre-reader, early reader, early elementary, upper elementary, middle school, high school. I started Freya and Hamish on pre-reader, but the first units, the pre-reader was honestly is so dumbed down that it wasn't as focused on the unit study topic that I ended up putting them both in early reader. I have to read aloud things to Hamish, and Freya was only 4 years old then, so she just colored in her book and whatever, as long as she wasn't bothering us, she did her thing. She's in kindergarten this year. I still won't make her do things. She'll just do what she wants. And I started Mac in early elementary and then upped him to upper elementary. He's a grade 5. I think when you're after summer break, or if you've pulled your kids from school and you're starting in homeschooling and you're starting with Gather Round, I suggest going a level down on what you're using to make re-entry or entry into homeschooling gentler and work into it. You'll still get a lot out of it. I don't recommend pre-reader. And there you go. North American Birds was interesting, but it should have been like a week-long study, not a month-long study. By the end of it, we were doing 2 birds a day because it was so repetitive. As the year went on and as they developed the curriculum more, it got more in-depth, more interesting. So I have Mac here, upper elementary. So an example of country here. Here we have Norway, so he does the flag. He was supposed to locate Norway. Apparently I didn't check this page. He loves to do the bare minimum, but we talk about it a lot more. So I'm okay if they only write down a bit because we talk about it so much more. So Norwegian food, interesting facts, habitat of an orca. So there's often an animal or a food. This was a language arts thing. Sometimes it's a little story writing. So here there's a postcard. I think he was supposed to send that. So there's the front of the postcard. Apparently I did not check over this very well. Or, you know what, there's also a good chance that we read this and we talked about it, and depending on the day, it was not a good day to expect them to write a bunch, and instead it was more about us having a good discussion, and for us, that is acceptable. And on to Denmark. So for us, I don't expect them to do lots and lots of writing in this. For us, Gather Round is more about it sparking more conversations for us and spreading our wings into different topics and learning about different countries. And I really enjoy that. There is things where they suggest you like go and look up this video on YouTube, or you do this extra activity, or you make this extra food, or you go on this field trip, and we did none of those. But we still really enjoyed it. So those are our school books that we use this year. I haven't done any school planning for next year because why would I do that until like September 27th? I'm pretty sure I have almost all the stuff we need for next year. Yeah. So I won't need to buy many things. I'll refresh some supplies. And we'll be good to go October 1st, or whatever day a Monday is. Usually about October 1st.